Hey, just want a quick video. Not done one for about 2 weeks now. I've had a lot of shit going on. Seen work, seen my girlfriend, my grandparents' wedding anniversary, and it was my birthday. So, been a bit busy 2 weeks. But what I'm putting this video up for anyway is I want to look at my last video I did, because it got a lot of mixed responses. A lot of people agreeing with me, saying that there's no such thing as a cheesy player, but then still the people that were spitting out this is cheesy, this is cheesy, but it's not. The idea of something being cheesy is generally because it's good and the other army hasn't got it. Like a few examples I got was a Dark Elder Lord with combat drugs, agonizer, the whole shebang, work tooled up to the teeth, can take down a demon prince. Well, yeah, I suppose you can take down a demon prince if you get a lucky roll, but so can a space marine with a thunder hammer. And don't forget that underneath all his shadow fields and his combat drugs and his agonizer, he's still in a toughness 3. He's still in a toughness 3. Yeah, he's got 2 up save, but you make him take enough 2 up saves and he's gonna fail him. He's only squishy Eldar skeleton underneath all that shadow field. And likewise the rest of his army. Yeah, it's Dark Elder Lord, but the rest of his army, for him to be effective, you have to get into combat. And the Dark Eldar, although they have a few units like witches that have a lot of attacks, they're not that great. Very low toughness. Doesn't matter how many attacks you got, if you've got low toughness, you're not going to withstand. If it comes down to war of attrition against Space Marines, you're going to lose. So that was one. Another one I got was the Lash of Submission. Now this is one I can sort of agree with, because the Lash of Submission, for those of you that don't know, basically you pick a unit, you roll the scatter dice, and you can move that unit in the direction of the scatter dice. I think that's where I remember it. Now I think, I've not got the Chaos Codex at hand, but I think it's about 20 points for that. That is a phenomenal ability for 20 points. But again, you got to think about not so much the ability it gives you and how much points it costs. Think about the unit that's going to have the Lash of Submission and the army in which this unit is in. The Chaos Army is normally very small, very high points cost, so they've got the most expensive troops, like the Khorne Berserkers and the Nurgle Plague Marines. These are all expensive, these are over 20 points each. So the armies are generally going to be quite small. So if they're throwing in a Demon Prince or a Sorcerer with Lash of Submission, it's actually quite a good thing, because they're lowering their numbers even more. And that way, right, it may be a dangerous unit, but I think it's only got like a 2-foot range on it, so just try and stay away. That's all I can say really for that one. Oh, that is a bit of a grey area, because I do agree it's very overpowered, but I've never called someone cheesy if they used it, because I know for well if I was a Chaos player, I'd take a Winged Demon Prince with a Lash of Submission. Everybody would. That's the thing with like people saying things are cheesy. A lot of time it's very contradictory. You say, yeah, you're a cheesy player because you do this, but in your mind you know full well you'd do the same thing if you were in their situation. And that's probably part of the reason why I don't use the term you're a cheesy player, because it's not fair. Because we'll all use the powerful things in our codexes. That's the whole point of them being there. That's the whole point of using them. You're not going to fill the entire army of your shittest troops just so you don't offend the other person. You use what's good, just like you would if you were generally in real life. You send your best troops. You don't send your rabble straight out of boot camp. My example of something that's overpowered, I've never called it cheesy, but I didn't agree with it. I think I mentioned it in my last video. It's the Tau Hammerhead. The Tau Hammerhead now is a lot less potent than it used to be. Something that can move that far and still fire such a powerful weapon was always going to be overpowered. Now, I don't mind people taking hammerheads, but what annoyed me was when people cut down the Tau list to the very bare minimum and took 3 of them. 3 hammerheads. I know someone that took 3 hammerheads at 1,000 points. That's just excessive. I mean, 3 hammerheads at 2,000 points, yes, by all means. But 3 hammerheads at 1,000 points? Come on. See, the whole thing to do with it being overpowered and cheesiness is It's a whole big grey area. You know, there's never going to be a right and wrong surrounding it. Because I'm here defending the people that use powerful units, but there's people going to be sat there watching or thinking, well, no, people shouldn't be allowed to do these things. But the truth is, someone left me a comment saying, Games Workshop are never going to get it right, which is true. Games Workshop are never going to get it right. And they're never going to write a perfect set of rules which makes everybody happy. There's always going to be anomalies, things are going to be underpointed, abilities are going to be written wrong or not thought about properly, and they're going to be immensely powerful. There's always going to be these things in the game of 40k. You've just really got to deal with them. If you are bothered by cheesy players, I'd turn around and say, if someone using something powerful, look through your codex, think like they would think. Find something powerful about your own army. Like, I play Eldar, and another one, it's another someone said they got called cheesy for taking Eldred Ulthuan. But why not? Eldred Ulthuan is the best character in the Eldar Codex. The guy is awesome. And yet he's quite cheap at 210 points. But you look at what in the new Space Marine Codex, Cato Sicarius is another 20 points more than that. And he's a demon. But I'm not going to complain if someone takes Sicarius, because why wouldn't you? The guy's an awesome character. So it just winds me up that people will cry cheese because the other army can use something that they can't do. Look for your own codex and find something powerful that you can use yourself, rather than bitch and moan because such and such an army can do this but I can't. I mean, I'm an Eldar player, and our Eldar players' strengths should always lie in the speed. There's not many armies that can field an entire speed army. There's Space Marines have got the bikes which are fast. Tyranids have got things like gargoyles and leaping warriors, but there's still things that are going to hunker them down. There's always something like Space Marines as tactical marines. You can mount them in rhinos, but at the end of the day they're still on foot. The Tyranids have got things like Carnifexes that have to foot slog, Gene Stealers. Things are always going to slow down. But Eldar, our strength is our speed. Simply because jet bikes, Vipers, fire prisms, you can even mount our HQ units on jet bikes. So the entire army is basically on a jet bike or off foot. And this is what you do. You got to know. You got to identify your own strengths and play on them. It's not so much identify your opponent's weaknesses. Sometimes it's actually better to attack the opponent's strength because you don't expect it. If you're going up against Tau, try and beat him in a firefight. I wouldn't recommend it, but if a Tau list is going to be geared to try and stop you getting in combat, so if you don't try and get in combat, it can mess with their plans a bit. So you got to, bothered about cheese, find something in your own codex that's good. Alright, maybe you're thinking here, well, I don't want to be the same as them. But it's not being the same as them. Well, it isn't, because they're not cheesy, and finding something good in your codex about your army isn't cheesy. It's just playing the game how it's supposed to be played. If you try and just look through your codex and say not even change your army, but say I'm going to use this unit in a different way, it can change your whole outlook. If you're using, I don't know, a Space Marine bike squad as to do nothing, as just a make weight, swap it for something else and see what happens, rather than just putting things on the table for the sake of it. Give everything a purpose, and that way when something comes along which you think is cheesy or someone else thinks is cheesy, you're more prepared for it, because there's something in every codex which is potent at something. There's something in every codex which people will think is overpowered, and if you really bother that much about people using cheesy tactics or whatever against you, just find that one thing or a couple of things that's in your codex and use it, or find something else. Find a loophole that no one else has spotted before. You never know what's going to happen. It's just something to think about. And that's it.